Hey guys, it's Slave to the Games, and I'm back with another Bloodlines 2 video, and this time we're going to be going over the Kuei-jin. Thank you guys for stopping by and once again choosing to hang out with me. I hope you enjoy the video. The Kuei-jin are the vampires of East and Southeast Asia, the karmically cursed outcasts dwelling on the Middle Kingdom's fringes. Other terms to describe them include Wankui, Wanjin, Wenren, and Asura Tizaya in India, or simply the Hungry Dead. The term Kuei-jin is a neologistic portmanteau consisting of the Mandarin word for ghost and the Japanese word for person. It is a relatively recent construction designed to indicate the commonality of the undead condition throughout the Middle Kingdom. The term Cathian is often used by Western Canaanites to refer to the Kuei-jin. The word is borrowed from the classic name for China, Cathay. It is perceived as offensive by the Kuei-jin themselves. It is said that the Kuei-jin are the corrupted descendants of the Wanjin, the 10,000 heroes chosen by the Augustus personage of Jade to guide and protect the universe in ancient history, and the predecessor to the Exalted. The Wanjin were originally chosen by tests of skill and courage and fed on the ambient chi of the universe. However, they fell from grace, learning to feed off of the chi of living beings and corrupting the tests of worthiness. Their children, the Jinhai, tried to keep them on the path of righteousness, but were eventually killed for their presumption. As the blood of the golden children cooled, the august personage pronounced judgment on his former champions. He cursed them to live as undead, unable to acquire chi except from drinking the blood of the living, and to exist in a brutal mockery of their formal state. He revised the test so that the former heroes and champions were replaced by criminals and murderers who escaped from hell itself. Then he left the Wankui alone to contemplate their crimes. Since that time, the Wankui, the fallen Wanjin, have developed a redemptory religion while occupying an ecological niche akin to Western vampires. Their many paths initially ascribed to Zhu, the Grand Arhat of the dead. However, the road to the 100 Clouds is long, and the Kuei-jin are ultimately forced to stay on the Wheel of Ages as history slowly grinds towards the inevitable victory of Hell and the rise of the Demon Emperor. In the Middle Kingdom, all creatures are believed to have two souls, a Hun, or higher soul, and a Po, or lower soul. In general, the Po is a brutal aspect of a person, while the Hun is more refined, intellectual, and impotent. When a person who has led a less than exemplary life dies, that person goes to hell. There, the Po and the Hun are generally shredded for chi, unless they can strike a deal and find a way out. On the rare occasion they can, the body takes its second breath and rejoins the land of living as a cannibalistic demonic hell beast. If not caught, these creatures will go on a killing spree and rampages of destruction, which is why the capture and civilizing of infant devils is a critical part of Kuei-jin society. All Kuei-jin begin in hell and then graduate to a mad cannibal in a human body. It is only through discipline and whip cracks that they can move above that level. The Kuei-jin are physically akin to the Risen in that their physical bodies are powered by mystical energy and that their energy serves to heal them. Unlike the Risen, who rely on pathos to power them, the Kuei-jin use chi. Depending on the type of chi used, a Kuei-jin's body will have different attributes, ranging from a low-energy corpse-like state. Apart from being faster, stronger, and tougher, a yang-aspected Kuei-jin appears to be a living human being. Kuei-jin are less tied to their bodies than might be expected because they are spirits wearing bodies. They can take enormous amount of damage, including a little death that wipes out the body and forces the Kuei-jin to seek out a new host. There is subspecies of Kuei-jin, the Yulan Jin, who do this on a regular basis. Kuei-jin are effectively unliving chi batteries. They need and hunger for chi the same way that the kindred hunger for blood, and they do need no other substances, although they take more pleasure from food and sex than the damned do. With the right chi, Kuei-jin can even withstand the sun for a short period of time. Chi is divided into yin and yang, which have both drawbacks and advantages when Kuei-jin imbalance themselves to one of them. The Kuei-jin have awakened a Po which seeks to make them fail. This Po behaves like a wraith's shadow and can temporarily take over the Kuei-jin. As a result, Kuei-jin are constantly struggling against a far more intelligent and wily opponent than the beast that bedevils the kindred. More importantly, Kuei-jin are creatures on a spiritual trek. They have been granted a second chance by heaven and must earn their redemption in this new life. To do so, each Kuei-jin subscribes to a Dharma. Each Dharma outlines a different view of the universe and the means towards achieving enlightenment. In addition to spiritual comfort, enlightenment brings strength. As a Kuei-jin advances in his Dharma, he learns to feed off things besides blood. His ability to manipulate chi increases, and his ability can achieve new heights. Kuei-jin are not created through the act of another like Western vampires are, and their numbers are limited and cannot be easily replenished. Their blood has no supernatural properties of its own and cannot create blood bonds or ghouls. The sun is just as dangerous to the Kuei-jin as it is to their Western cousins. Kuei-jin, however, do not begin to burn when exposed to sunlight. Instead, their flesh begins to rot until nothing remains but a putrefied carcass. A stake through the heart does not automatically paralyze the Kuei-jin either. However, the heart is instrumental in processing chi energy, and certain types of attacks can disrupt the chi flow in a Kuei-jin's body. Vampires of yin prove vulnerable to wood, the element of yang. Conversely, vampires of yang are vulnerable to metal, the element of yin. On the first gaze, Kuei-jin appear relatively uniform, as all orthodox groups accept the great principle as outlaid by Zhu. On the second, the Kuei-jin struggle to adapt to a rapidly changing world. Western ideals begin to influence their homelands, toppling traditions that have existed as long as they can think. Chi corruption grows, and the influence of the Yama kings in the material world is on the rise. As misery and exploitation creep into the cities, the young refuse to bow before their elders, forming societies on their own that challenge the established rule. Court works against court, the distrust between them founded in mortal feuds that are not forgotten. The numbers of heretics and Akuma are growing, as more and more of the hungry dead become disillusioned with the world. Such happenings symbolize to the Mandarins that the Sixth Age, an age of degeneracy and decay, will soon pass. Since before recorded history, the Kuei-jin have been divided into a variety of courts that cover various geographic regions. The 5 greatest of the modern courts comprise the Qiankongs in China, but there are also the Uji of Japan, the Golden Courts of Southeast Asia, the Green Court of Korea, and the Infinite Thunders Court of the Indian subcontinent. Unlike the relatively anarchic kindred, Cathians have an elaborate society and governmental system which each vampire is expected or better yet required to join. As a result, the training for a Kuei-jin is much longer than the expected training period for the undead, and the Kuei-jin are quite willing to execute any prospective candidate who fails their tests. In the modern era, this training is even more extensive to rub off some of the Western taint. A newly reborn vampire can expect to learn etiquette, politics, and the use of disciplines, silent feeding, poetry, and the elaborate Kaja script. Cathians are bound together in Wu, circles of Kuei-jin mystically linked to each other, and a guardian Nushi. A Wu is the fundamental social unit of Kuei-jin society, and many Wu have famous histories. Traditionally, Kuei-jin were expected to join an existing Wu. Outside of the Wu system, which intentionally transcends dharmic boundaries in order to promote harmony, Kuei-jin will also obey the stricture of their dharmas. Each dharma has its own methods of enlightenment and internal hierarchy, ranging from the extremely formal testing procedure of the Devil Tiger Dharma to the individualistic teaching style of the Path of a Thousand Whispers path. Each dharma is a religious school, one that is followed with intense devotion by the Wan Kuei, as the alternative is the madness of the Chi Mei. There are dharmas outside of the fivefold path of Shu, although these are considered heretical and are followed by a vanishingly small number of Wan Kuei. So, how is their relationship with vampires? Well guys, that's the final thing we're going to go over for this video, so let me explain. For the children of Cain, the Kuei-jin are a conundrum. They're close enough to them to be classified as vampires, but different enough that they warrant a whole new category for themselves. Until recently, the two supernatural races were content with avoiding each other, although there were always populations of Cainites within the Middle Kingdom that managed to coexist with the Kuei-jin. Most assumed that the Orientals were merely exotic bloodlines of one of their own clans. As the Great Leap outward sees an influx of Kuei-jin into their territories, Western kindred try to understand what exactly these beings are. Within the Camarilla, the Tremere spearhead the research into these entities via Project Crosshairs. The Sabbath Necronomists have launched their own theory, having come to the belief that the Kuei-jin are the progeny of yet undiscovered members of the second generation, whose curses have changed and has become predetermined by fate instead of the embrace. Well, that's it guys. I hope you enjoyed learning about the Kuei-jin and learned something new. thank you guys for choosing to once again hang out with me. I hope you are still enjoying the videos, and if you did and are, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, as well as comment something below if there's something else that has piqued your interest and you think may be tied to Bloodlines 2, or at least the lore behind it that you maybe want me to go over that I haven't yet. And also think about optionally joining my Patreon, checking out my Discord, or checking out the merch store to help further support me in what I do and hang out with me, possibly either playing games or just chatting around between, well, video releases. Once again, guys, I will catch you in, well, my next release. Enjoy your day. It's been fun.